Nobody talks about this stuff when it comes to fat loss. Over the past 20 plus years, starting with my own fat loss journey where I lost 65 pounds and working with over 7,500 guys, I have come across a lot of things that nobody wants to talk about when it comes to fat loss. This is probably because not everything is marketable, right? There's like boring stuff, there's stuff that's almost too simple, and people want to sell you on diets, magical pills, supplements, workout routines, the whole 9 yards. So let's start with the first thing that I have found to be one of the biggest mistakes guys make whenever they're trying to lose body fat. Workouts. Going in the gym and training with weights has one, maybe two purposes, but really it all comes down to one main theme. And that is we're trying to build and hold on to as much muscle as possible. Now, what most guys do when they start losing weight or they start thinking about losing weight and they start adjusting their workout routine is they go in the gym and they stop lifting heavy weights. They purposely drop the weight, they lower the weight, increase the reps, and start doing fast-paced, like high sweat, high output workouts because it feels like they're doing more, right? It feels like they're burning more calories. So therefore, they should be losing fat at a faster rate. But what's really happening is you're actually damaging the most metabolic active tissue on the body, meaning you're not creating a metabolic demand, meaning more calories needed to support what is the most metabolically active tissue, that is muscle on the body. Not to mention, as you lose body fat, you're ultimately going to want to look good, right? You don't just want to lose weight, slim down, and be a skinnier version of your current self. You want to have muscle definition. You want to look strong, athletic, lean, aesthetic, all the things that we chase as guys who want to present the best version of ourselves. So instead of dropping the weight, we want to actually do the opposite. Now, this doesn't mean you need to be a power lifter and you need to be in the gym throwing around weight like a crazy person. You still need to live smart. And in fact, I strongly recommend the guys I coach who are typically over the age of 30, over the age of 40, and even into their 50s and 60s to focus on training with machines. Machines like hammer strength machines or some of these more fancy pieces of equipment that have come out recently are phenomenal tools when it comes to training heavy and pushing weight to maintain and even grow muscle as you're getting leaner. We want to give the body a reason to stay metabolically powerful and metabolically healthy. Muscle requires a lot of calories to maintain on the body. Plus, as you get leaner, you want that dense, hard-looking muscle to be under the layer of fat that you're losing right now. So my recommendation is to stay in the 4 to 10 rep range when losing fat. Now, keep in mind, once again, we're training smart. Go to failure, yes, but we're not breaking form, we're not sacrificing form ever. And then there are gonna be some days where you're just not as strong, especially if you're eating less calories than you burn. You're gonna go in the gym and feel a little depleted sometimes. And that's where we have to just train smart, right? We have to understand this is a long game. We don't need to set new personal records every time we set foot in the gym. Sometimes we just need to go in and do as much as we can safely without hurting ourselves. So the name of the game here though is, let's just do the opposite of what most guys do. Don't lower the weight and go lightweight on purpose with tons of reps. You're gonna get the opposite effect of what you want. You don't want that skinny fat physique. So what we instead want to do is continue to train with the purpose of building and holding on to as much muscle as we can. Of course, everybody's going to talk about workouts and the latest, greatest, sexiest workout plan, but what do most guys miss out on? And this is something I learned years ago, and it's something we teach our clients right out of the gate. So when clients join our program, our True Transformation VIP system, the first thing we want to talk about is what they do outside the gym, right? And what they do outside the gym is what I call movement. So many guys are just sedentary inside of their daily lives. They wake up, they get in the car, they drive to an office, they sit around all day, they do computer work. Then what happens? They drive home, they go to practice with their kids, they stand around, they watch their kids. And when you look back at the day, they haven't moved a whole lot. So this is why the first thing we do in our program is we get guys moving more in their day-to-day. So if you're interested in and you're serious about transforming your body this year, if this is something that has been on your mind, it's been something kind of wearing you down, you're not where you want to be physically right now, then I highly encourage you to check out the link in the description if you want to learn more about our True Transformation program. So what we do outside the gym is actually the most important thing when it comes to fat loss. I actually train these days on average 3 days a week because my time, I have football that I coach every single night, Monday through Friday. I have a business to run. I have content to make like this. I have my kids. I have my wife who wants to go on date nights. I have a social life. You know, I want to enjoy my life, so I don't have all the time in the world to get in the gym every single day. Do I do something active every day? For sure. But that doesn't mean I have to be inside the gym. In fact, a lot of my mornings simply start with a walk or a jog, which, by the way, you don't have to run to lose fat. But I like to move. I like to push myself physically. So the biggest thing that we miss out on is all the other hours in the day outside the gym. So, of course, we sleep. But then what are we doing the rest of the time? What are we doing those 12 hours from 7 to 7 every day? Like, are we able to start moving more? And the answer is yes. There's so many things we could be doing. I could be filming this video walking around my neighborhood instead of just sitting here filming right now. Speaking of which, I should probably go start walking. So what do we do to start moving more? Literally just get off your butt. Literally start going for a walk like I'm doing right now. You don't need to do anything fancy. It doesn't require any special cardio equipment. You don't need to do anything strenuous. You just need to get off your rear end and start walking more. It's hard to sell you on the sexiness of walking, but let me share a little tidbit with you that I think might entice you to move a little more. And that little tidbit is simply this: guys and women too who walk more tend to live longer, right? So if you want to live longer and have a higher quality of life and look better naked, well, it might be a good idea to start moving more. And you can just simply walk a few times a day for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, track your steps. And then all of a sudden you're burning more calories, which is going to help you lose fat. And you're increasing the quantity of your life, the lifespan that we all think about here and there, but don't really realize until it's too late. So we need to push ourselves on both sides. Number one, look good. Number two, improve the quality and the quantity of our life. Now, listen, breakfast, at least here in the United States, has been labeled the most important meal of the day. But if we take that word, it's really break fast. So it's break our fast. It's when we start eating throughout the day. Now, I'd also argue there is no one most important meal of the day. The most important meal of the day is the one that helps you hit your calories and the macronutrients that you need every single day. That could be dinner, that could be breakfast, that could be all the snacks that you have in your week. It doesn't really have an importance scale, but what I'm trying to tell you here is that you don't have to have breakfast first thing in the day. One thing we help our clients do inside of our program is we help them set a lifestyle schedule. So we look at when are they most hungry, when do they have time to eat, when do they want to sit down and have a bigger meal with maybe their family or a social atmosphere, maybe a work event of some kind. This is something that we do right out of the gate too. So if you're interested in our program, if you're super serious about looking your best, feeling good with your shirt off for once in your life, then this is something you might want to check out. Check out the description below. And there's a few options for you to get started right now, one of which is free. And then of course you could schedule a consultation if you're serious about making a permanent change. But when we talk about schedule of eating, this is really, really important stuff. We need to get our body in a good rhythm. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that, hey, at the end of the day, I don't have to eat breakfast. Why? Because then the sales of all the breakfast foods and cereals and all that nonsense are going to start to go down. So the truth of the matter is I really haven't had a breakfast, like a typical breakfast, in over 10 years. I get up, I go to the gym, I take my kids to school, I do work in the morning, I come film videos like this, and then here in about 2 hours, and it's 10:45 a.m. right now, I'll have my first meal. Now, do I do this every single day, 365 days out of the year? No. Some days I will have a breakfast. Some days, if I'm, training for something specifically where I need a lot of fuel, I might eat something in the morning. But my lifestyle schedule really dictates that my biggest meal of the day is typically my dinner, somewhere around 6:30 to 7:30 at night. That's when I like to sit down, I like to relax, I like to eat a big meal with my family, and ultimately enjoy something really filling and satiating. You can do the same exact thing. At the end of the day, it's really based off what you prefer. At the most important level of fat loss, the main factor is a calorie deficit. We have to ultimately burn more calories than we eat. Now, the way you get there, that's like deciding what car you're gonna drive, what route you're gonna take, how fast you're gonna go. Those are things that are really individual and there's no right or wrong. You have to get out of this mindset that there's a perfect way to lose fat. The only proven way to lose body fat is a calorie deficit. How you set up your meals, that comes down to you. Break your fast early, break your fast later. Once again, it's all about consistency and adherence. What can you adhere to ultimately get the result that you want? By the way, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now might be a good time. Or if you want to check out our program built for the high-level professional guy over 40 with kids who wants to look good with his shirt off and transform not just his body, but his identity, right? No longer being the overweight guy who's insecure about his physique. You can become the guy who's confident in his body, feels not only confident in his body, but his longevity, right? The fact that he's taking care of his health, that he's setting a good example for his kids. Someone who is a faith-based man who lives by a code. If that's you, our program is probably a tremendous fit. We'd love to talk and see if it is. You can schedule a consultation in the description below. Let's go to the next thing nobody wants to talk about when it comes to fat loss. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. A lot of guys, when they start in our program, come in with preconceived notions for how long is it going to take to get in shape. And I'll tell them, typically it's going to take much longer than you think. Now, this shouldn't deter you from starting because there's so many stops along this journey that are exciting, that are amazing. Getting abs is just one of them, because once you get abs, don't you want to keep them, right? There's so many things ahead of you in terms of the fitness and fat loss journey. But one thing that will trip you up right out of the gate is thinking you're going to weigh a certain amount when you're lean. Guys always want to have the metrics that are, the vanity metrics, like, oh, I weigh 200 pounds with abs, or I'm 185 pounds with abs. They think in their head, like, if I have to get down to 160 pounds, aren't I going to be too small? And the truth is, the number on the scale isn't going to tell the whole story. You're probably going to look way bigger than the scale tells you are. Right? So like if I'm super shredded, I'm lean, I'm like 7% body fat, I'm like 200 pounds, okay? And that's gonna look really big, all right? Now, I'm also a big guy. I'm not small by nature. I have genetics that give me more size, give me more mass than the average person. But I know plenty of guys who are much bigger than me, who are leaner than me, who are freaks in nature. I also know guys who weigh 20 pounds less than me, but look the same size because they're so lean. This is very dependent on your structure, the way God made you, the genetics that you've been given. And ultimately, don't let the scale stop you from getting as lean as you need to be in order to get in shape. That's a huge mistake I see guys make. They get in their own head and they think, man, I'm gonna weigh this much when I'm lean. And then they get to that weight and they're still not where they wanna be body fat wise. And so they give up, right? They go, oh, I'm not willing to get small to get shredded, right? But you're not small. You're just still overweight. And so you gotta push through. Forget about this. The scale is just your relationship to gravity. It's not the judge and the jury of like how strong you are or how jacked you are. Like pictures, that's the big thing, right? How do you look in the mirror? Are you happy with your physique? Do you feel healthy? What does the blood work say? Those are the things you should really care about. Don't let the scale deter you from reaching your ultimate potential. I see this with so many guys. So just understand that when you start a fat loss journey, if you have a number in your head and you're like, oh, I need to lose 10 pounds and I'll be lean, I would strongly encourage you to increase that number, because in worst case scenario, you get there sooner. That's great. But I would at least double it, maybe even triple it, right? So if you're like, I'm gonna lose 15 pounds, I might have to lose 45 pounds to get super shredded. I know that sounds crazy, but I've had guys, come to me who are like 220 and they're like, I'm just gonna get down to 200. I'm like, probably gonna get down to 175 to be shredded. And that's just the nature of things. We don't realize how much weight we've accumulated. I think the biggest thing with guys is that they probably started gaining consistent weight when they were already past being lean enough to see abs, right? Where it's like, maybe they were just kind of like looking relatively fit, but didn't have abs. And then they started gaining a lot of weight at that point. So they forget they started gaining all this unwanted weight when they were already too overweight to see ab definition. So we have to get past the weight they gained and then the weight that they had at that point where they started gaining weight consistently. I know it's really a mental game. It's mental warfare, if you will, but just don't let the scale be the dictator, right? Just use the scale to track metrics, but don't let it be the ultimate decision maker. Okay, so last thing I will tell you, sleep schedule. Sleep schedule is a major deal when it comes to fat loss. I don't know why we decide to separate sleep and fat loss. They go hand in hand. For me especially, if I don't get enough sleep, man, my appetite is way thrown off. I feel like just a lazy, crappy version of myself. So sleep is massively important. Don't skip on sleep. If you're a high performer, you need your sleep. You need your sleep like you need fresh air. At the end of the day, if we're not getting enough sleep, we are going to be sabotaging our appetite, our workout intensity, our ability to have discipline and to stay consistent. And our body is going to be burning fat when we sleep. So let's get enough sleep every single night. How much do you need? I would say 7 hours is a really good target. 7 hours plus maybe a power nap in the afternoon for like 20 minutes, I think is a great setup for most guys who run at a high pace all day. This also gives you more willpower, okay? Because where does willpower come from? Well, it comes from being mentally recharged. So willpower is not infinite. We only have a finite amount of willpower. So where do we get more? I would argue that a big place to really refuel is sleep. Obviously, there's other things like, mental breaks, relaxation, managing stress better. Like all these things, yes, impact our willpower. But I think a big area that most guys forget about is sleep. Now, a lot of you might be doing great with sleep, and that's good, okay? But I would strongly suggest taking a look at your sleep hygiene. Are you getting good quality sleep, or are you waking up all night, right? Are you eating poorly, and that's influencing digestion overnight? Is your nighttime routine thrown off where you're scrolling social media and you're getting stressed out with work emails and stuff, and then you're going to bed with all sorts of things on your mind? Trust me, I'm no different. Like, I totally get it. One thing we help our guys with inside of our program is the mental side of things. You have to recreate the way you approach your health. And health isn't just about how you look. It's about your spirituality. It's about your mental health. It's about your social health and the people you surround yourself with. It's about how you interact with the world. We live in a totally different world than what we had 20 years ago, where social media was just at the infancy level. Now we're constantly being bombarded with all sorts of highlight reels in people's chapter 50s when we're in chapter 1. These are things that impact our sleep, right? If we got a lot in our mind, if we haven't taken time to unload and write down things we need to do, write down our thoughts, spend some time in prayer, trust me, I'm just telling you from experience. I'm not telling you because I have it all figured out. I'm telling you this is the stuff that I need to hear too. But this is the stuff we talk about in our program. It's not just the macros and the lifts and the protein and how much cardio to do. How do we become strong mentally and spiritually, hand in hand with our physical fitness? Which, of course, leads me to this last thought, and that is, if you're super serious about making a permanent transformation, if you've gone a long stretch of time with feeling uncomfortable in your own skin, out of sorts when it comes to your physique, you just don't feel like a good role model. You look at the kids that you have, you look at your family, you look at your wife, you look at yourself, and you just don't like what you see. You are not leading from the front if you are out of shape and overweight. You are a liability at the end of the day because your health is being impacted, your energy, your mood, all the things that go into being a rock star father, provider, leader. Those things get impacted in a negative way when you're out of shape. So my encouragement for you today is this. Take a look at the description of this video. We have resources there for you. It may not be the perfect time for you to be a client. There is no perfect time, obviously. The best time to start anything when it comes to transformation is right now. This is the moment that we have. So start today. And it could be just checking out some of our free stuff, checking out a course, checking out one of our low-cost programs, or it could be saying, hey, enough is enough. It's time to go all in. And that's where we can have our VIP discussion around your true transformation. In the meantime, thanks for watching today's video. I hope it made an impact on you. In the meantime, let me know in the questions in the comments below, where do you need more help when it comes to your fat loss transformation? I'd be happy to have a discussion with you or make a video on it in the future. In the meantime, remember, life moves fast. Make it count. I'll talk to you on the next video. Peace.